idea what carbon neutral is.
Wow, that is a difficult question.
I believe that carbon neutral means zero pollution.
Inputs and outputs of carbon in the atmosphere are balanced.
Climate change is induced by the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And one of the major greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide, which is a byproduct of burning fossil fuels for energy consumption.
Makes me think of a lot more people walking, a lot more people taking the bus.
Access to healthy food, air, and water.
Zero waste is carbon neutral.
The 21st century economy.
It's a whole system, and all of those systems working together and communicating in a way that benefits the public, and the byproduct is health. The byproduct is a future.
Back in February of 2010, the Seattle City Council did what it always does, which is come up with their council priorities for the year. This is probably the tallest one. It is to make Seattle North America's first carbon neutral city.
I'm really appreciative of that, and I think that it's really necessary for politicians to step up and push something for it to happen, for something to change.
I haven't heard of any other cities officially becoming carbon neutral. I'm sure there are maybe some small cities, but nothing as big or on a big scale as Seattle.
Mike O'Brien at the Seattle City Council was tasked with moving forward on this very big issue, and so to do that, he did a kind of a call to the community.
Why am I involved? I'm involved because I'm excited that our government is the kind of government that wants to hear my voice.
So a lot of people are involved. There's 8 groups. If you took all of them together, it's a pretty big number of people who are working on this.
Just the whole movement, really bringing all sorts of people together. Like just in the past month, I've met a lot of people in the community.
Fun community meetings, getting to meet your neighbors.
By involving community representatives to come up with recommendations for the City Council to begin to implement, I think we're on our way.
Seattle is an amazing city. I think that we have a will to pull together that I think is unusual. I think our pride in our neighborhoods, I think our pride in our greater city, I think we can do it.
In order to run all the buildings and all of the cars and all of our lights and heating and cooling and all of these things that keep us going day to day, they don't use any fossil fuel greenhouse gas emitting energy to operate.
We have to convince a certain population of folks, most folks, that the lifestyle in which we used to live is not sustainable.
Talk about it enough so that they see there's real benefits for them in doing it versus not.
Carbon neutral Seattle, I think, is tight communities that are communicating about carbon neutrality on the streets, and it's straight up awareness.
Bringing agriculture back to an urban environment and creating a local food system, a regional food system, will help address some of these issues.
What we want to do is basically do a carbon diet, and that's what carbon neutral is for the city. And so that's a carbon diet on how we get around, it's how we live, and it's how we deal with waste.
We have ways of getting around town that are not causing us to have to burn fossil fuels and put things into the atmosphere.
More bicyclists, pedestrians, and probably more apartment buildings in a carbon neutral Seattle.
50% of greenhouse gases are caused by buildings.
So instead of designing a building that uses a ton of energy, we just design a building that doesn't use as much energy. It's really that simple when it comes down to it.
Schools are such a big part of our environment, and there can be a lot done in schools to help us become better stewards of our environment in the future.
How can we get young people inspired to go into these different green industry sectors? There's all this talk about weatherizing homes, retrofitting homes, and being energy auditors, and I'm like, that's great. That's just one of a multitude of possibilities.
The biggest challenge is our inability to think big enough and our inability to believe in ourselves.
We've got to be creative and come up with new ways of thinking about things. And we don't even know what some of those are yet.
As we see things start to roll in the next 5 years, I think that's going to have a momentum that's going to actually build upon itself.
If there's one city that has the ability to serve as a model, it's us.
Boom.